Fabrizio Romano reveals Manchester United's transfer priority. Leny Yoro is geared up for his debut under Ruben Amorim this month. Angel Gomes is a top target for the summer. We've got rumours about Nypan and a couple of other transfer rumours to run through in a rundown of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So, let's kick off. Obviously, there's been a lot of noise over the last couple of days, specifically around the left-back position and Alphonso Davies in particular. And Fabrizio Romano's come out with the following, saying that a left-back is priority for Manchester United in 2025. Ruben Amorim wants a top left-footed player who can play in different positions. Milos Kerkez continues to be monitored by United, not just him or Alphonso Davies, but other names as well. So that's what he said on his YouTube video last night, but he also posted the following this morning, saying that Manchester United want to sign a new left-back for Amorim's system in 2025. It's already planned. The club is already assessing options with more than 3 candidates in the list. It only remains to be seen whether it's going to happen in January or the summer window, which is most likely. So Fabrizio Romano weighing in on the whole kind of left-back situation, confirming that it is a priority position for United. I kind of think we maybe knew that anyway, considering the fact we have had no left-back for like over a year now, realistically, with Shaw's injuries and Malasia's injuries, but also naming a few players on there, one confirming the interest in Alphonso Davies, which we spoke about over the last couple of days. Then also Milos Kerkez remains to be a name on the list as well. I've got I'll go through the rest of the transfer news, and then I've done a little bit of a kind of comparison with a few of the other left backs that we're linked with, which I'll go through in a second. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, going back to what we mentioned over the last couple of days with Alphonso Davies, saying that Manchester United are willing to compete with Real Madrid to sign Alphonso Davies. Now, that came from the Muppeteers, who I think is a good, credible source, kind of confirming as well that, yes, Davies is a player of interest. And I know there was quite a bit of some of your comments from yesterday's video regarding Davies. So I went back to try and find out, what the kind of price and everything like that would be for Davies. And this came from Dean Jones. This was a couple of weeks ago, which was the latest update I could find around Davies and the fee and the wages and stuff. So he said that if Davies leaves Bayern Munich next summer, the Canadian international would demand around £240,000 a week, according to Gimme Sport sources. Alongside his salary, Davies will also be looking for a signing-on fee of around £10 million, and United see these figures as a sticking point in the deal. But obviously, we had reports yesterday from Christian Falk and Florian Plettenberg, both confirmed. Well, Florian Plettenberg was saying that he is United's kind of top target. And then Christian Falk saying that United are outbidding or prepared to outbid Real Madrid and Bayern Munich regarding Alphonso Davies. So I do think that there is there's definite interest in there as well. But the latest I could find around the fees, around £240,000 a week apparently is what he's asking for, and around £10 million as a signing on fee. I mean, 240 puts him around, I think Delit's on around about that. I think that's Mason Mount's on about 250. So, it's not beyond the realms of an impossible kind of wage, considering the fact that there is no transfer fee, and he is a very good, he's one of the top left backs in the world at a good age as well. So, it's one of those, is one of those with Davies. But the fact that he's being kind of touted around, I get your kind of point, saying around the fact that he's demanding high fees and stuff. Is that the sort of player we want at United? Not so sure, but definitely interest there. It's one that we're competing with, so one to keep an eye on. So he's definitely one of the options for the left back position. Obviously, Kerkez is the other one that's just been mentioned, but the other one is Alvaro Carreras. So Manchester United are considering exercising the buyback clause, and it is said to be around €20 million, which is around £16 million, which is what the kind of previous reports were saying around Alvaro. And I was kind of looking at it like, let me know in the comments who you think you know, because I still think, and this is my personal opinion, I still think Davis is going to go to Real Madrid. I think they've worked too long and hard on that, and I do think that United are probably interested in him and are willing to compete. But I do also think maybe it's a little bit of agent talk trying to get a better deal for his client, which is you know what he's expected. That's his job. He's paid to do is to get the best deal. So I do think maybe there is a little bit of, you know, let's get Real Madrid to pay more or the max that they can and go to Real Madrid. Because again, you've got to think, would the player want to come to United or Real Madrid? At the moment, you know, obviously we don't know that. We're not inside Davis's head, but part of me personally still thinks he's going to go to Real Madrid. I'd love to be wrong on that. But the other two players mentioned there, Kerkez and Alvaro Fernandez. Let me know your opinion, who you would kind of choose. So I've done some digging. Kerkez is, you know, is a really interesting play. I've not seen a lot of him, though, at Bournemouth. Being completely truthful, 21-year-old, 11 appearances, 2 assists for this season for Bournemouth. Very highly regarded and very kind of highly thought after. Alvaro, though, 21 years old, 15 appearances, 2 goals and 2 assists. So I thought, well, I'd do a bit of a deep dive. You know, there's Alvaro Fernandez's stats so far this season that looks absolutely outstanding, by the way. I mean, look at that, top 98 for goals, top 90 for shot creating actions, top 95 for passes, top 94 for progressive passes, progressive carries 83. I mean, they're unbelievable statistics. And then I compared it to Kerkez's, and I was like, well, he's probably going to cost more than double what Alvaro would. You know, I don't necessarily think that's, you know, I don't know what Bournemouth would want, but you're talking 30, 40 million pounds, probably maybe more from a Premier League club for a young player, you know, from another Premier League team. And I'm looking at it thinking, well, you know, that's 16 million pounds, and that's going to be more than 16 million pounds. I mean, there's not actually kind of been reported what fee Bournemouth would, but in my head, I'm thinking 30, 40 million pounds, potentially more, to try and get him out of a Premier League club. And then I'm thinking, well, which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments. Like, I'm looking at it thinking Alvaro is absolutely smashing it. He's made 15 appearances, 2 goals, 1 assist, as I mentioned, compared to Kerkez is, was it 11 appearances, 2 assists this season? And I'm thinking, well, I know which one I would be picking out of those two based on statistics alone. Now, the argument against that, though, would be one plays in the Premier League and one plays in the Portuguese league. So there is that kind of comparison. But Alvaro's been playing in the Champions League as well. So, you know, I'll bow down to you. Let me know in the comments who you're picking, right, out of Alvaro Carreras and Milos Kerkez. Don't get Davis and that involved. Just out of those two, who you're picking. Let me know in the comments. Let's move on to some other transfer news. So, Angel Gomes remains a top target for Manchester United under Ruben Amorim. Ashworth and Wilcox believe he can be a crucial part of Amorim's master plan for success. Not the first time. That came from the Sun, so I would say take it with a pinch of salt. They're not the most credible source, but not the first time we've been linked with Gomes. Would be a free transfer, so he's available to sign a pre-contract in January. Would be a free transfer, as I mentioned, in the summer. Obviously been at the club before, so would know about it. You know, Eriksen's going to leave on a free transfer, so would we replace Eriksen with Gomes free for free? Probably demand a little bit less in wages in terms of Gomes. You know, can play in a few, he's like versatile as well. You know, I know we're the kind of word, though, that Romano was using about recruitment was intensity, and I don't know if Gomes, I think he's a talented ball player, but would he bring that intensity to the midfield that we're potentially looking for? I have question marks around that. As talented as he is, I don't know if that's going to be the type of midfielder that we're going to potentially be going for. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then we've also been linked with another young up-and-coming midfielder. So Manchester United have been keeping tabs on FC Nordsjælland midfielder Mario Dorgeles this season. That came from United Frenzy. So United Frenzy are quite good when it comes to United youth stuff. Not a player that I've particularly heard too much about. 20 years old, central midfielder, left-footed, 15 appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists this season. Seems an all-action player. You know, looks like he's got a nice passing range, but again, not one that I've done that I know loads about. Just doing some quick research, checking some highlights and stuff like that as well. Does look a decent player. Valued at around 1.2 million euros on Transfer Market, but I put his heat map on the screen just to kind of highlight that he is, or does seem to be, like a bit of an all-action midfielder. Look at his heat map, all over the place in that midfield. So maybe would be someone that could bring that intensity and obviously work rate. Like if your heat map's looking like that in midfield, then it does show that actually you do get around the place as well. So would be an interesting option, but not one that I know a great deal about, and not from the most credible source, being truthful with you. But the United, like I said, United Frenzy are good when it comes to United youth stuff. So interesting option, one to keep an eye on. Now, another young midfielder that we have been heavily linked with from more credible places is Sverre Nypan. So Manchester United are leading the race to sign Sverre Nypan in January. However, Nypan is carefully considering his preferred destination after gaining widespread interest and wants to ensure he is in line for regular game time. So that's an interesting update regarding him. Obviously, the previous reports were that he's going to be visiting a few Premier League clubs, like on a trial or having a look around a little bit in the way Bellingham did, and a few other players in the past where they've kind of visited clubs and spoke to a few people and stuff. So interesting that he would be, preferring play time, because to get a young midfielder in like that when we've got Kobe Mainoo, Ugarte in midfield, obviously Casemiro's still here. Yes, it would be potentially a replacement for Eriksen, but could we guarantee him that as much game time as maybe other Premier League clubs? That could be potentially a sticking point, although I do think that if you're good enough, or if you're old enough and you're good enough under Amorim, he will give you a chance. And there is a lot of games as well, so hopefully that will not be a deal breaker if it is a player that we decide to kind of pursue. But interesting update regarding that. Let me know what you think in the comments. And then sticking with transfer rumours, so Sporting expect Man United to make an offer for 17-year-old winger Geovany Quenda next year. That came from Samuel Lucas in the Manchester Evening News, who is a shit stirrer, but probably quite well connected with United, suggesting that Sporting are expecting us to go in for Quenda. Again, definitely a player of interest. We've been linked with him quite a few times, so we'll have to see how that develops, but he is widely regarded as a very talented generational kind of player, so there is going to be a lot of interest in him. Obviously the connection with Amorim though would potentially help us, but yeah, definitely one to kind of keep an eye on going forward. But that would be a summer deal, because we know we're not going to sign Sporting players in January, plus he's 17. We can't sign under 18 players from overseas because of Brexit rules. And then the final kind of transfer rumour I've got for you is regarding Muani. Again, he's been heavily linked with us over the last few days. Manchester United have made direct contact with PSG to express their interest in Kolo Muani on loan. That came from French outlet, French journalist, not the most credible, being honest with you. So I would say take that story with a pinch of salt, but it's not the first time we've been linked with Muani. Potentially on loan in January. I'd need to see a bit more credibility personally. I don't know, it's a weird one, the Muani stories, because they're coming from, decent outlets, but not credible ones. And with the fact that it looks like Amorim might be giving Rashford a chance to play up front, is the striker position a priority now? I'm not so sure that it is, being honest. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm not sure that would be a priority, but if it is, if we do decide to go for a striker, getting Muani on loan would obviously be cheap, because we know we might be struggling with financial fair play for this window. If he did want another body up front or somebody else to kind of rotate around, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. I just want to wait for a bit more credibility regarding the Muani stories personally, but let me know what you think in the comments. And the final few stories I've got for you is regarding Sekou Kone's injury is not serious. He could return to the pitch in a matter of weeks for Manchester United. That came from Steve Ralston in the Manchester Evening News, so that's positive. Obviously, remember I brought you a story a couple of days ago when he had to come off in crutches. It wasn't looking particularly good for Kone, but apparently not serious. Just a few weeks away as well, which is good, because he's he's being widely, very, very highly regarded in the kind of reserves, and he does need minutes on the pitch to adapt to obviously Man United, but also the kind of type of football that we're going to be playing over here as well. So that's positive. And then the final story we've got for you is Leny Yoro is fully fit and gearing up for his Manchester United debut under Ruben Amorim this month. Leny Yoro was informed on Monday he was due to start at Altrincham, but he was removed from the squad after training. Again, came from Samuel Lucas, suggesting that Leny Yoro was in line or penciled in to maybe play the under-21s game this week, but was pulled out of it trained with the first team instead. And that could be the sign of actually, no, we think that he potentially is ready for first team football rather than playing for the under-21s, risking injury. Obviously, we do have a few problems at the back with injuries. There's no update at the moment on Martinez. There's no update on Victor Lindelof. Harry Maguire's out. If we're going to play the back three, then realistically it's De Ligt, Johnny Evans, Leny Yoro. He might play Luke Shaw at the left side, but again, the reports were yesterday he's not ready to play 90 minutes as well. So we are a little bit short at the back if we're going to play a back three at the moment. So potentially that could be the reason why we didn't want to send him out or play him in the under 21s game, because we actually do need him in the first team squad. Whether he's going to start on Sunday or not, we'll obviously have to wait and see. But he could be on the bench, or he could be, which would be really good, because I'm really interested to see how Leny Yoro does, because the couple of kind of appearances he made in pre-season, I thought he was looking really good, really tidy on the ball and stuff, and he's obviously touted as, you know, a generational talent. That's what everyone's saying with him regarding his talents at the back as well. So yeah, really interesting to see Leny Yoro come back. And let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that is you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.